Welcome back into Spotlight. Per usual this time of year, things are shifting when it comes to the NFL schedule. Just announced this week, the Texans and Chargers. That game has now been flexed during their Week 17 matchup. That will now be Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, just before the Ravens and Packers face off at 8 Eastern. Both of these games should come with plenty of playoff implications. For more on that, we bring in the Princess of Darkness, who actually looks like she is in a winter wonderland with all of the white around you, Amy Trask. We love talking to you about these things because you look at this from so many perspectives. The front office perspective, which you did for so long, players, fans. What is kind of the impact in your perspective of flexing these sorts of games?
I am, of course, going to answer your question, Amanda, but first I must thank you for the Princess of Darkness reference, and I hope you're a little bit afraid.
Always a little bit.
Good. Flexing games is terrific for the tens of millions of fans who watch the games at home. It really is to their benefit. I certainly understand why the league flexes. I was in those rooms for many years as we discussed the importance of flexing. Again, that's terrific for all the tens of millions of fans who are watching at home. But there is a cost, both financial and emotional, for some of the fans who had planned and prepared to attend the game in person. Just a few examples would be the fans who've purchased plane tickets to fly to a city to watch their team. They are going to now have to change the return flight. It might cost them more to do so. They might not even be able to get a return flight that night and thus may need to book a hotel room. So there are costs that are involved for some fans. And by the way, if they can't get home that night and they have to be at work the next morning, they may have to skip the trip. And they may have planned a very, very special trip to a game, whether they're flying there or going in person, to bring a young child who now can't go to the later game. Those are just a couple examples of what could be financial and emotional costs to fans who go to the game. So do I understand why games are flexed? Absolutely. I participated in those discussions, as I mentioned. Do I think it's best for the fans who watch at home? Yes, I do. But something has to be done by the league or the teams involved to take care of those fans who suffer a financial or emotional cost for the flexing. I'm not sure what that should be, but it should be something.
All right, I'm curious to get your perspective on this next topic, because when it comes to scheduling and everything, obviously we're seeing more and more international games. Just this week, we found out the NFL is going to be in Munich, Germany for the first time next year, and then in 2028, they went to Spain for the first time this year. From talking to players, some love it. Some aren't a big fan of it. What do you think about this movement from the league to really push their international presence, if you will?
I love the international expansion. I've seen it grow and grow and grow. It was growing during my years in the league. It has grown exponentially since then. I hope it continues to grow. Sports has the power to unite. It doesn't always work that way, but it can unite us throughout the world. I love the expansion to more and more international games. And to those fans who are worried about their teams having to fly internationally because it's a long distance, I will say this. Yes, some of these trips are a very long distance. Not all of them are. It's not that much harder to get from the very East Coast to, let's say, London than it is to get from California to the East Coast. But some of these trips are a considerable distance, and I want to therefore assure you that the National Football League and each and every team do absolutely everything possible to make these trips as easy as possible on the teams. Planes are chartered. You can get up and walk around the entire flight. Players have more than one seat per player. There are always plenty of snacks throughout the plane where you can walk around and visit and eat. You never wait in a line. You always have a police escort. Travel is easy.
Amy, we appreciate your perspective on that. Let's dive into some news that's going on this week. The biggest topic, Philip Rivers being signed to the practice squad with the Colts. We will see if he is in fact elevated, if he's going to play on Sunday against a very difficult Seahawks team. I'm just curious, when you saw this story unfold, what was going on in your brain?
Well, my initial thought was, wow, Philip Rivers. Now, just so you know, by way of background, during my years with the Raiders that overlapped with his years with the Chargers, I despised him. I wanted to crush him personally on every single play. But then one day I was walking into the player tunnel, he was walking out, and he stopped me and introduced himself, and we had the most lovely conversation, and since ever I've been rooting and cheering for his success, except when he played the Raiders. I wish him the best. I don't know if he's going to get to play at all. None of us know that. I wasn't as surprised by the signing as some were, given his relationship with the head coach, given his relationship with the team. And what I will say to you, Colts, run the ball. You've got the 8th best rushing yards per game in the league. Protect him. You're 10th best in terms of sacks given up. Take care of him. And if he gets to see the field, he can help you.
Yeah, let's try to keep him upright and try to keep him safe. He's got a bunch of kids and a grandchild that he needs to take care of. Let me ask you this, so many people were calling this a desperation move from the Colts. If you had been in their front office and Daniel Jones went down and your backup quarterback is dealing with a knee issue, is this a call? Would you have picked up the phone to call him?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, because something I meant to mention is this. There is something called TTD, total temporary disability, PTD, partial temporary disability, and umpteen other kinds of insurance. So while I would not have been the person who was placing the call to Philip, I would not have objected if someone else did so. But I would have been the one running into the team owner's office saying, if we are going to bring him back to the practice squad or otherwise, we have got to purchase every single kind of injury insurance we can, because he can hurt himself at practice, he can hurt himself on the field warming up, he can hurt himself if he doesn't play. For love of ice cream, we have got to get insurance, and I would have made sure we did.
All right, well, hopefully the Colts did the same thing. One more, we got to talk about the Raiders. Luckily, they're not taking on the Colts. They are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, equally as difficult for them. Not the season they wanted, 2-11 right now. It appears the experiment with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, everything they did not work out. What are your takeaways from the Raiders so far this season?
Well, my heart, of course, goes out to Raider fans everywhere. I have always loved them. I will always love them. I feel for them, and I am sorry. It has not been the season that was planned. There are, as we've discussed on HQ before, a lot of issues within the organization, not only on the field, but off the field, and they all need to be sorted out to fix this. But I will give Raider fans one thing to possibly smile about this weekend. You can go in and dash the hopes of Eagle fans. And let me tell you something, 1999, final game of the season for us, it was January 1st, I think, or 2nd of 2000. We went into Kansas City. We had no hopes of going to the playoffs. We didn't go to the playoffs, but we knocked the Chiefs out of the playoffs. And I left that stadium singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day," as I walk to the locker room. It can be fun to dash another team's hopes, even when you don't have hope for the postseason. So Raider fans, if you can dash the hopes of Eagle fans, enjoy it.
Look, if you hate the Eagles, that would bring you a lot of joy. And not just that, I mean, the NFC East, the top of it, that lead is not very big. So, Amy Trask, we appreciate it. Beautiful in white, even better in black, our Princess of Darkness. We appreciate your time, Amy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, so week 15, there is so much going on. Maybe not so much between the Raiders and the Eagles, although the Eagles, they got to keep winning if they want to hold on to that division. Our NFL game recap, it begins Sunday on HQ, starting at 8:20 Eastern.